You're good? Dave, are we on? We're on. Good morning, everyone. So we'll start this meeting off this morning. It is Tuesday, December 15th. It's 10 o'clock, pretty much straight up. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a moment of silence first for Supervisor Martin. So if you'll all stand with me, and we'll have that, and then we'll continue on. Thank you. That's good. And with that, what we'll do, well, you're all up anyway. Debbie, you want to lead us in the pledge? This is the last day we get to pick on you, so.
Thanks. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Debbie's going to do our invocation this morning too, huh?
Kathy lied to me. So I've had mixed things happening. Yes. Our Father in heaven, we bow our heads before thee this morning and give thee thanks for the many blessings thou hast given to us. Father, we are grateful for this time of year and the season that brings life to us, and we are grateful for the opportunity we've had of knowing Supervisor Martin, and we pray that thou would guide her family and protect them. Father, this day we ask thee that thou would be with the other supervisors that are going to have to make a decision on who to have replace Tommy, and bless that they will be guided and prompted by the Spirit to pick the one that is best qualified and that might follow in her dedication and selflessness that Tommy showed. Father, we're grateful for having known her, and we're grateful for this board. We're grateful for this county that we are privileged to work in, and we pray that thou will guide us and help us to be the best that we can be. Watch over us this day, we pray, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Stay right there. I got something for you.
No.
You got to give a speech afterwards.
Oh, no. I should have known this was not. You're dead. You're all dead.
I think they all knew about this, Debbie. So this is from the group of everybody here in the county, and this is for you. Sherry wrote up some stuff for you I'm going to read.
Okay.
So you've been with the county for 27 years.
Thanks.
Began working in the treasurer's office in Tampa in 1992 and became full-time in 93. Became chief deputy in 2002. Was appointed county treasurer in 2007, fulfilling the term of her predecessor, and became the county treasurer for 13 years.
That's correct.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is a card for you.
Oh, well, thank you.
And then what I ask is everybody that wants to, we're going to get up here and get a picture with you in this tree. It's lovely.
Oh,
How's
okay.
that?
That's great.
Is that good?
Thank you
Come on
all.
up, guys, let's get this picture.
That's just like,
You want to hold the tree?
I told my staff not to do anything. So, you guys,
You know better. We work for the county. We
Get in here. Anybody else want this picture? Come on, Kim.
So I'm going to move this.
Here, I'll stand. You guys can stand.
You want to hold this thing before I break it? Okay.
Yeah, they are dead meat.
Okay, people. Looking good.
That's nice.
Got it?
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll give Dave a quick minute. Are you good, Dave?
Let me just check the camera view for the podium real quick, and we should be good to go.
I know it's in their stocking. We need some WD-40.
Good? Okay, so we'll carry on. We're going to move on to 2A, presentations. And the first one is a presentation of information on the 2020 census and upcoming activities of the U.S. Census Bureau in 2021. Tammy Parisi. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be with you here this morning. I am Tammy Parisi. I'm a partnership specialist with the state of Arizona. However, you are likely much more familiar with my staff that worked in Gila County, Havala Shoemaker, Emily Verdugo, and James Hodges. I was their supervisor for the duration of the 2020 census. They've since moved on, as I will at some point, knowing that the Census Bureau opportunities with the decennial are short-lived. But I am here today, and I love these meetings. Any meeting that starts out with a lot of applause and recognizing someone is always so encouraging. So happy retirement to the young lady that just left. What an awesome opportunity to be part of the meeting today. I am here to say thank you to Gila County for just a tremendous job in supporting the 2020 census. I have a short presentation for you today. Do not let my accent fool you. I do live in Arizona. I live in the Valley, but I cannot kick an Alabama accent from 30 years ago. So don't judge me. I'm going to try to, this is a PDF version, so I'm not sure I can advance the slides, but I'm sure going to give it a good shot. Oh, look at that. It does work. I love that. You're a great guy. Okay. Let me tell you what happened nationally with the 2020 census. And perhaps you may find it surprising, or maybe you predicted it as well, but the national self-response to the 2020 census, when we invited households, came in at 67%, and that was higher than our projected and even higher than that of 2010. So America is paying attention, and they know truly how important the decennial numbers are to communities like yours. This was the first online census, the one that had an option, and wow, did America really prefer that option? We are happy to report that we did not have 1 millisecond of downtime with our internet self-response tool. I know there may have been a lot of skepticism, but it certainly was proven to not be founded in any truth. So very, very proud that that was the case. In addition to that, we had no data breaches of our information that was collected online. It was very quickly taken off of a server near immediate when someone hit the button. So we're proud of that. And then the average response time only took about 9 minutes. When my household did it, it was less than that at 5 minutes. So we have made it easier to respond to the census in every community across America. However, people still always had the option of phone, internet, or by mail. We know that people sometimes prefer the mailed-in version of the questionnaire, and you can see the percentages here, but the majority of America at 79.86% preferred the internet, 18.3% preferred mail, and a very small percentage, again, way less than our projection, preferred the phone-in method. Perhaps you did not know this, or maybe you did. The Phoenix area was selected as one of 2 of the processing centers of all mail-in census forms. And they processed tens of millions of forms in a facility right there in the heart of Phoenix. So proud to have that as part of the home in processing. But what about those households that did not respond on their own? We want you to be assured that we did follow up with every household address in our master address file to ensure that all household addresses were counted. We did about 33% we had to follow up with door to door with our enumerator staff. and that accounted for 64 million addresses counted in a short 68-day period, which was more addresses in less time than we did with 2020. So although COVID threw everyone a curveball, and it still is today, it did not stop the Census Bureau's mission in accomplishing the count of America, which is a constitutional obligation of ours. In addition to that, we also have to use proxy. And when I say proxy, sometimes people simply don't answer the door. Although we try to catch them at different times throughout the day, weekend, evenings, they just don't answer the door for whatever reason. They're skeptical, they're not home. We do use proxy records. That means we may have knocked on the door of a neighbor to obtain the count of people living in a particular address. So that's very normal. We did 24.1% via proxy, and 23.8 of that in 2010. So just right about the same level of proxy. In addition to that, we use high quality administrative records to ensure that we resolve all the addresses in our master address file. You may be wondering, what about people who don't live in regular residential type 123 Main Street or regular housing situations? We count those people as well. You think of assisted livings, any group type living situation, prisons, jails, even the homeless. We do count everyone in America as we are required to do, and we do that in special operations. The slide you see before you here is just our volume from 2010 to 2020. So you see that we really did our homework locating the group quarters facilities and partnering with those agencies to make sure the people living in non-traditional settings were counted, again, including the homeless. So it took a lot of people on the ground in the region and right here in Arizona to partner with counties such as yours to make this happen. Really get the census marketing out. It's often tough in a presidential election year when it coincides with a decennial to have our voice heard and really do the marketing of that. So there was 313 partnership specialists like myself, nearly 50,000 enumerators in our 12-state region, and 50 area census offices. The area census office that was responsible for ensuring that Gila County was counted was based out of Flagstaff. And they resolved all addresses, 99.9% of all their addresses at the end of non-response follow-up. We had 67,000 plus partners across our region. Our region came in, despite the fact that we have many rural states, we had a phenomenal showing of partners. We had over 7,400 partners in the state of Arizona, really helping pull on the rope and sharing the importance of the decennial census. And we had complete count committees, such as the one here in Gila County at 1,261. Again, remarkable work goes into marketing the census, and Gila County really answered the call there, having a robust complete count committee with a lot of different marketing strategies, and we want to say thank you for that. So where did the state of Arizona land in self-response? I did it on my own once you sent me an invitation. We landed at number 32 of the states, not unusual. We are a border state. We have a lot of rural population as well. So 32 in the nation at 64.1%. Still more than half, nearly 3/4 of all Arizona addresses chose to respond to the census on their own. Incredible. So where did Gila County finish in self-response? 42.4% of all Gila County addresses in our master address file chose to respond on their own. So you left us about half the work to do to ensure that we went in door to door to make up for the rest. And you see it's very similar percentage to that in 2010. So I just want to say congratulations, 42.4% in a mixed type of county where you have highly rural and some populated is still a great self-response. In the cities and towns in Gila County here, you see that Payson, I have these in order of their self-response. Payson is more populated, so 64.7% of their population, ranging down to Hayden at 24.5. So still, people were choosing to respond online, and we took care of the rest in non-response follow-up. But here's what you really want to know, right? The decennial data collection is over. What is next? I imagine we are all eagerly awaiting the state population counts that go to the president. We are obligated to deliver the state population count. Notice I did not say any local, December 31st, 2020. We are working to ensure that we get as close to that date as possible. And we only deliver counts to the president. No president gets any local household level data. It is merely just a count of how many people. Okay. Redistricting, that's what you're really waiting on. That's the local level information. That comes in the spring generally, the year following the data collection. I do not have an exact date for you now, but rest assured, if you're a subscriber of census.gov, you're going to know when that press release comes out, when you can have access to that local level information that you need for redistricting purposes and decision making here in the county. So please stay tuned for that. I'd also like to say that every time the Census Bureau initiates any survey, we always do a quality check on ourselves. That is true with every survey we do, and there's a very long laundry list of surveys that we administer. But right now is the post-enumeration survey for the decennial. And what that does, it measures the over and under count of our 2020 census data collection. In no way does it change the data that we collected, but it does give us an idea of any over-under count. So that work is happening right now. And you can see it takes a while. End of data collection there is October 2021. So I'm saying that because the Census Bureau may still be here in Gila County. So any of the residents say, hey, this usually goes to the sheriff. Why is the Census Bureau at my door? We're on the ground every month of every year. It just may not be the decennial work why someone is being selected for a survey. The American Community Survey is one of those. And that's going to give you some great insight here at a more granular level in Gila County that you can look at right now. The American Community Survey data just came out 5 days ago, and I encourage you to take some time to look through that as it relates to the county here. It's going to give you some great insight. I mentioned there's a long laundry list of surveys. Those are the top 5 there, the Pulse survey. Let me talk about the Pulse survey. We talked about COVID, and we're still talking about COVID. I'll be glad when we can put that to rest at some point. I imagine all of us are in that feeling the same way. We did a household Pulse survey to determine the effects of COVID on the community. So that you have as well at your fingertips if you want to do some more data diving. So they didn't hire me to be a data dissemination specialist. They probably hired me just to talk to you about the decennial. So they leave that to the experts, but we want the county to know that we have a team of people standing by to assist you with really digging further into the data, what the data can do for you. So we have the data dissemination program. We are happy to schedule a training with the county, with your cities and towns if you want to do it collectively at any time. Just know that that is a resource that we have available to you. And like I said, I'm really here to say thank you on behalf of the Census Bureau. There was a ton of work done here, whether it was from the libraries, the school system, Jackie Sanders herself back here. I know there was some heavy lifts happening. Paul Walterbeek of the county. I think I heard from Paul Walterbeek on a weekly basis, really saying, hey, make sure that the headquarters knows that Gila County is doing more than its fair share of marketing work. And I just want to say thank you for that. Oftentimes when the decennial comes around, it is a voluntold situation of someone in the county, but that wasn't the case here. People were really energized. My staff sent me photos such as this, write-ups, and really how involved the county was. So I want to say thank you for that. And with that, I'd like to present a certificate of thanks to the board for all the work that was done. I have the certificate here. I'd like to ask for a photo. Similar to what we experienced. I do not need to be in the photo, but however,
Yeah.
I knew I should have put my hair down. Okay, but this is the certificate we'd like to present to you. You are what we consider a gold partner, someone a partner that really, really invested their time and energy, their money, their people to help market the 2020 census. I often went to Roosevelt Lake on a weekend off once the data collection ended, because there is no such thing as time off during the decennial for anyone, right? And I saw census signs, Gila County counts, from our Native American population down to the smallest towns and cities. I saw those signs in the ground, and I drove around with census goggles. I still see the signs today. Over in the town of Miami on their brick wall at City Hall, it's still there. We still count. So again, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Tim, you ready to get your photo taken?
They will not let me photograph without a mask, so forgive me.
Jack,
I'm fine if you are, sir.
Mr. Chairman, locally, I would like to acknowledge Miss Jackie Sanders,
Yes.
who was in charge of our complete count committee. And all of this was mostly her doing. So appreciate Jackie in coordinating that. She's not only so well respected in Gila County for the complete count, she was asked to participate in the statewide complete count committee. So Jackie, thank you.
She's humble over there. I see she's humble. Let me grab my phone. Thank you.
You want us to take a picture with your
That
phone?
would be great.
Sure. That I can manage.
You don't want to be in this photo?
Sure, Jackie, you're part of it.
I've asked her to.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, I need the podium moved again, sorry.
Let's
Sorry,
revoke
Dave.
this.
I'd rather kind of go here just because the whiteboard.
Good? Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you so very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Appreciate
Thanks for
your
coming
time.
today.
Yes, I am your resource if you have any census questions. Again, my time is limited with the Census Bureau. That's very typical, but someone will always be around to support you.
Good information. We look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank your team, too.
Sure will. Thank you. Want the clicker back, sir? Y'all have a great day. You're so about to follow. I am? Oh, well, right time.
Okay, we're moving on to 2B, presentation regarding Gila County financial data as of October 31st, 2020, as it compares to the fiscal year 2021, Gila County budget and fiscal year 2020 year-to-date performance. Maren, good morning.
Good morning. I'm bringing you boring, ordinary stuff today.
Oh, never boring, Maren, you're good.
But this is our October year-to-date revenue and expenses as they compare, as Chairman said, to our budget and last year. So we can see how things are going. And if you recall from September's update, our revenues were at about 10% because the first half of property taxes don't come in until October. You can see them starting to come up to where they should be over in our revenue block. That's the one to the far right. The red line is this year, and we are just a hair under 40%, which is exactly where we would expect to be given that first half of property taxes. And then to look at what our top 5 revenue line items are that have experienced an increase from last year, we are up $800,000 in property taxes, about $75,000 in interest and penalties on the delinquent taxes. Our auto lieu tax is up $167,000. County excise tax is up $150,000, and then all of our miscellaneous line items are up about $100,000. And there are a few items that are experiencing a decrease. We wanted to make sure that you had this information in front of you. So the state shared sales tax is down $451,000. Most of that is timing, but there is an existing decrease. Federal PIL is down. That's only because last year at this time we had received the settlement for the class action lawsuit about PIL, the Kane case. Charges for service for public safety are down a little bit. That has to do with when we got reimbursed for an item last year for the preceding year. And then our IGAs and state government or state grants are both down about $35,000 each. When we get to our expenditures are at 31% of budget, and they are $584,000 lower than the same time last year. And the net impact of our increased revenues and decreased expenses results in a year-to-date net increase to the bottom line of $1.169 million. So that's good news and means that all of your department heads and managers are doing their absolute best to keep things going nice and smoothly through COVID and make sure that we are being excellent stewards of our constituents' resources.
Thank you, Maren. So, question for you, James. Do you think our state shared tax revenues are going to come up, or you think we're going to run that same percentage through the year?
Mr. Chairman, I expect them to be probably at that same percentage throughout the year.
Your mic's off.
This fiscal year.
Your mic.
Mr. Chairman, I'd expect that it would be pretty flat for this fiscal year. The vaccine for COVID will be coming out in the spring, and it probably won't be till late spring, summer that it really makes an impact where things can open up and be what they were before. So until then, it's going to be limited as far as our state shared revenues. In the county, like Maren said, that the people from Phoenix have wanted to get out, but they haven't been traveling to whatever destination. They've come to play in Gila County. And we are the ones, you as the board, are the ones that invited them to come and play here. So thank you for that and opening up Gila County through Discover Gila County.
Thanks. I guess we'll just wait and see how it does. Tim, you got any questions for Maren?
No, I don't. Other than the increase, we have miscellaneous. Miscellaneous is miscellaneous, but when it's $100,000, it's a lot of miscellaneous.
Yeah, it is. It's a big clump of a lot of things that go together. I can get some detail to Terry for you so that you can see what it's comprised of. There's they're called object codes in New World, and it just kind of gathers them all up. And as you were asking that, I noticed that my data label callouts didn't make it on this bar graph. I will restore those for next month. But I will get you that data. I'll also send it to Kathy. That way you both have the same information, if that's okay?
Yeah, no, and the thing of it is COVID's changing our world. And so when we look at figures, it's like how and as we watch things grow or decrease, it's nice to kind of know a direction of what we need to be aware of and to kind of look forward.
Sure. Yep. And do you like this format that offers you the ups and the downs in this tabular format, other than giving more detail for miscellaneous? Because we can continue to provide this monthly if you like that.
Yeah, I like it because, like I say, then it's kind of a graph to help us know.
Okay.
State shared taxes. That's because businesses and things aren't open.
Right.
But what's increasing and what could we help with an increase? To overcome some of the things that are going down. So
Okay, great. I'll continue to include that then.
Perfect. Thank you, Maren.
Thank you.
It's always good to see you.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be here.
Okay. Mary, thank you too for all that. Absolutely. Moving on to number 3, public hearings. 3A, information, discussion, action to obtain public comment to determine if the public interest will be served by the town of Star Valley's de-annexation of the certain public right-of-way located in Star Valley and its return to Gila County, and consider adopting ordinance number 2020-04 for said annexation of the certain public right-of-way by Gila County. And we have Tim Greer, Tim in Payson, and we have Steve Sanders. Steve, I guess you're it.
I think.
Oh, you
yeah,
got 'em
well,
both.
that-
We got 'em. Jump up there, Tim.
Go ahead.
Good morning.
I read, thank you, the board, and we extend, Star Valley extends its sympathies to you and the passing of Tommy. We know how difficult that is. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago that we lost Mayor McDaniel, and I remember the first meeting we had and how difficult of a challenge that was, and our council will be recognizing Tommy's service this afternoon at our council meeting at 4 o'clock.
Thank you, Tim.
I think Steve could have gone first on this one. I think Steve's position is that there will be no negative impact to the public interest in the de-annexation of the state highway from Lion Springs to Preacher Canyon. For those that haven't driven that for a while, that's about 2.7 miles of highway. I'll give a little bit of background. It's a bit complicated legal background on why we're bringing this issue to you. Star Valley's position has been that Star Valley does not have law enforcement responsibility to respond to or to investigate accidents on State Highway 260 within the incorporated limits of Star Valley or outside of the incorporated limits of Star Valley. DPS, to be fair, has a different legal opinion on this. This manifested with conversation between me and DPS legal counsel, and then as well extended to almost every municipal city attorney in the state of Arizona and the city of Phoenix attorneys too, to have them participate in what their legal position is. Overwhelmingly so, unanimously so, the municipal attorneys, the League of Cities General Counsel concluded that, in fact, by statute, the Department of Public Safety does have responsibility for the law enforcement on the state highway. This part of the state highway that we're asking to de-annexation will, as far as responsibility, and will serve public interest by eliminating a duplication of cost of both DPS and the cost incurred by the town of Star Valley with the law enforcement contract on that state stretch of the highway. I think Steve Sanders' position is going to be that it will not have any negative impact cost. Gila County is not going to have an additional law enforcement responsibility on the highway. I know that Adam is here, nor more so than they would have. I think that would be agreement in the room that there's no responsibility for Gila County, save for the stretch of highway south of Payson, which is within Gila County, is clearly the responsibility of DPS. So it serves public interest. It serves the constituents. We believe Star Valley are your constituents as well. Saves money by eliminating a duplicate cost, and therefore serves the public purpose. And I'm certainly open to any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Tim. Steve, do you have anything to add to that, or we good?
Mr. Chairman, board members, no, not really. My involvement was looking at the legal description to see that it adequately transferred back a stretch of highway. It did that. The highway is absolutely a state highway. County will have no, can't speak to law enforcement, but we'll have no maintenance responsibility, nothing. It was a state highway prior to incorporation. It's a state highway after their de-annexation and stuff. Surrounded by Tono National Forest, no private property involved whatsoever.
Okay. Tim, you have any questions for him?
No, just one. Okay, if it's a state highway, then we're at no maintenance, and then being a state highway, we're also no liability.
I would have to agree with that. Yeah, absolutely no maintenance. It's part of the ADOT's highway network in the state of Arizona. Their numbers, their maintenance, everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my only questions. Okay. Thank you, Steve.
Sheriff, do you have anything you want to add to this, since you're sitting right there? Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Well, good morning, Mr. Chair, Board, audience, and staff. We actually did not put in any comments on this matter, although we were asked, positive or negative. As Tim kind of alluded to a little bit, when it comes to state highway, we serve in a secondary role where if there's not a DPS officer that's immediately available to go out there, we go out there and start the investigation, and then as soon as they have a representative show up, then they would basically take the disposition of the case. This is really a small amount of highway. We've got quite a bit more in the county, of course, that we also have that secondary responsibility for. This little piece really doesn't change things much. We would act as a backup or an additional resources for any agency that had these responsibilities, whether they were primary, secondary, or whatever, because our main goal, of course, is public safety. So it really doesn't affect us that much either. And really, that's why we have pretty much no position on what the board decides to do. Thank you. Unless you have any questions.
I don't have any. Do you have any?
No, I'm good, Sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate it. So with that, I'll open up the public meeting. Do we have anybody up there that wants to speak to this, Cheryl?
No, sir.
And we don't have anyone here, so I will close the public part of this meeting and ask for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt ordinance number 2020-02 or 04.
And I will second that. All in favor, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Sheriff. Okay, let's go on to number 4, regular agenda items, 4A. Information, discussion, action to authorize a cancellation of an intergovernmental agreement between the town of Star Valley and Gila County Animal Control, which includes sending the required 30-day cancellation notice to the town of Star Valley. Michael, do we have you on the phone?
You betcha. Can you hear me, Mr. Chair?
Yes, we can. Can you hear Michael all right in Payson, Cheryl?
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Can you hear Michael all right there in Payson?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Go ahead, Michael.
Great. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you. As you recall, at the last board meeting, this item was on the agenda to discuss, and at that time, the Board of Supervisors instructed me to table this item and to reach out to the Star Valley town manager, Mr. Timothy Greer, to just inform him that this is something that the board may consider in the future. So I went ahead and did that. On December 2nd, we had a conversation, myself and Mr. Greer, and I promised him an official letter, which is attached to this agenda item, which I sent to him on December 7th. I have not heard back from Mr. Greer or the town council on what direction they would like to move in. So this item may have to be tabled once more to the next board meeting until I could gather some information from the town of Star Valley. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Michael, just stand tight a minute. We have Tim. I think, is Tim still there in Payson? Cheryl?
Yes, and he did want to speak on it.
Yes. Could he please? Tim, can you give us kind of a spin on it? It sounds like you're going to have a town council tonight. Is that correct?
That's correct, and we did receive the letter from Mr. Driscoll as well as a call regarding the issue. It was after the December 1st meeting, so of course not much time has passed, and I don't know if your wills of government move faster than ours, but when we got the December 7th letter, I promptly the same day sent that to my council in memo form, asking for any input that they may have. I've only heard back from one council member due to the brevity of time, I believe, on the issue, but it is on our agenda tonight. I am a bit frustrated that it appears that Mr. Driscoll is asking for termination of the agreement in such a short period of time, and I think the board was correct in asking whether or not he had gone to Star Valley before this was on your agenda on the December 1st meeting, which had not. We didn't hear about it, and our council members hadn't even heard about it until it came out in the newspaper and the Payson Roundup. But I think that the cost that Mr. Driscoll believes that will be incurred is because there's not an animal control officer here in northern Gila County on the weekends, and therefore there would be a 4-hour turnaround and travel time that would be an additional cost, as well as overtime hours. And maybe Mr. Driscoll can speak to that before I continue.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Michael, did you catch all that?
I sure did. And yeah, Mr. Greer is correct. Is we have one animal control officer in Payson, and he needs weekends off as well as vacation and holidays as well. So we would have to cover the entire northern or Star Valley with employees coming from the Globe area. And so a round trip from Globe and back and spend time to investigate animal control complaints in the town of Star Valley would be anywhere from 4 to 5 hours round trip. And so the current contract does not cover those costs. And if you remember, the landscape of this has changed once Star Valley awarded the law enforcement contract to the town of Payson Police Department. If you remember from my last presentation, the Gila County Sheriff's Office was actually doing us in the town of Star Valley a favor by going out after hours to these animal control complaints without a cost to Star Valley at that time. So the landscape has sort of changed a little bit, and that's the reason for this item. Okay,
thank you, Michael. So in our previous meeting, it was real important to all of us that Star Valley had time to think about this and talk about it. And apparently tonight's probably, from what I'm getting from Tim, is that's going to happen probably tonight. There's going to be discussion on it and see where we're going to go. I don't have a problem with tabling this again until we get it totally vetted and get something in place going forward. I don't want to leave anybody hanging. What do you think, James?
Mr. Chairman, hearing Mr. Greer, I think that would be the appropriate action for the board to take, is to put this off to January for consideration. That way we could get a full discussion with Star Valley and all of their council.
Mm-hmm. Tim?
Just one question. Mr. O'Driscoll, how many calls have we had, like, after hours or on weekends since our last board meeting, I guess in the last month?
I'm not sure about the last month. What I did was I went, we pulled the dispatch calls from the Gila County Sheriff's Office, and for the last 2 years, from 2018 to September 2020, the Sheriff's Office went out to 184 after-hours or weekend calls to Star Valley in that 2-year period.
And Supervisor Klein, if I may respond.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Tim.
I appreciate that it seems the direction of your board is to give Star Valley time. Certainly we haven't had an opportunity to negotiate new terms, which I really thought that was the reason that Mr. Driscoll was coming to us in the first place, not just to terminate, but also to consider a renegotiation of terms if the ones that are in place are not substantial enough with it. But one thing that I'm a bit bothered by with this, and it will be conversation with our council as well, is that it appears that there's not animal control officer. Gila County doesn't have anybody out in northern Gila County, and I'm not so sure that Mr. Driscoll's position that it doesn't financially serve Gila County well is really the point to consider, but whether or not the current arrangement doesn't serve Gila County well as far as service goes by not having an animal control officer to respond, not just to Star Valley, but to Strawberry and Pine and Coles Ranch and Tono Basin and Pumpkin Center. I don't think strays sit on the street corner waiting 2 hours for animal control to respond from Globe very often, and it doesn't seem, for the safety of the community and the safety of the animal, that's the best arrangement. So maybe that's something that the board wants to look at, and that seems to be what is driving the cost up, is this 4 hours of travel time and overtime by not having an animal control officer in northern Gila County.
Yeah, that's probably a different issue for another day, Tim, but yeah. James, did you have something you want?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, all of those areas that have been mentioned are covered by either the animal control officers or they are backed up and supported by the Gila County Sheriff's Office.
Right.
Star Valley had made the decision and choice to drop the contract with Gila County, and they are an incorporated municipality. So with that action, then they turned that over after hours things to the town of Payson. Now, whether town of Payson does that after hours or not is up to them and the contract what they have with the town of Payson. Gila County covers the unincorporated areas of Gila County as far as animal control is concerned.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I'm with James on this one. When we're able to be accompanied by the Gila County Sheriff's Office in our animal control, we do well in rural Gila County. But on this issue, apparently town of Star Valley needs to communicate amongst themselves to see what negotiations they can work with town of Payson Animal Control, Gila County, Payson Police. So I do believe that they need to have time to get together to see what they can come up with as far as contracting, whatever would suit them best. And then depending, we're going to need to make a decision. But at this point, I'm not opposed to postponing this to allow them the time to meet as a mayor and council to see which direction they want to go. James?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, I just wanted to point out that this is by no means that we are not willing to contract with Star Valley. The current contract under the terms that it is not the same as it has in pre-existing conditions. So we are open to having that discussion, a new contract, but this current contract does not meet the needs and needs to be needs to end so we can enter into a new contract. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, and I believe that was addressed at our previous meeting too, Tim. So I think the general message is, no, we're not just wanting to drop you guys and get away from that. We just need to work out details. But I do see the advantage into tabling this till the next scheduled meeting, which is, I think, January 5th. And let Star Valley, discuss it and kick it around, and we all go from there. I don't see the reason we have to jump into a decision right now. So with that, Tim, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to table 4A until our next meeting.
And I will second that. All in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Tim. And we'll move on with that. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome, Chairman.
Okay, 4B, information discussion action to approve amendment number 1 to an intergovernmental agreement, contract number ADHS 18-188825, between Gila County and the Arizona Department of Health Services to extend the contract to December 31st, 2021, and change the contract information and the scope of work for the continued provision of HIV prevention program services. Michael, you're with us again.
You betcha. Thank you again, Mr. Chair. So this is just an extension of our HIV grant that the State Health Department gives us each year to service those residents that are HIV positive. So this just extends the services till December 2021. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Tim, you have any questions for Michael?
I have no questions, Mr. Chair.
And neither do I, so thank you for that, Michael. So I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 1 to intergovernmental agreement contract number ADHS 18-188825.
And I will second that. All in favor, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. 4C, information, discussion, action to approve an intergovernmental agreement, DPS contract number 2020-084, between the State of Arizona Department of Public Safety and the Gila County Sheriff's Office to be reimbursed 75% of the salary for one certified deputy to work with the Gang and Immigration Intelligence Team Enforcement Mission State Task Force for a performance period beginning July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, with annual renewal on July 1st for a period not to exceed 5 years. Sarah White. And I see we got the sheriff.
Yes, you do. I know you probably wanted Sarah, but you got me today due to various issues. We're kind of running on a skeleton crew. And also, we'd like to add our condolences, thoughts, and prayers, of course, to the loss of anyone touched by a loss of Supervisor Martin. It's hard to come up with any words to describe it. I'm sure that you couldn't even number the people that she's touched in her service down through the time. And on a brighter note, is Debbie there? Did she leave already? I just wanted to say thank you for your service to the county.
And she left, Sheriff.
She took off.
Yep,
Well,
she left.
She. I tell you what, our office interacts with the treasurer's office on quite a few occasions. We deal a lot with things back and forth, and her office has always been extremely responsive and professional in dealing with us, and I appreciate that. So kudos to her and her service here as well. This particular item today comes to us as the State Gang Task Force asked us to become a member of their task force. I'm going to invite up Zeke Zessiger, the task force commander, for you here real quick, just to give you a quick, cream of the crop idea of what we will be getting should you decide to approve this item today. And after he's done, I'll get back up and tell you what our commitments would be under the contract. So Zeke, you got a minute?
Thank you, Sheriff.
Good morning. Mr.
Welcome.
Chair and members of the board. Just a brief overview. My name is Ezekiel Zessiger. I'm a captain with the Arizona Department of Public Safety. My current role is I oversee the gang unit in northern Arizona. So basically what GITM is a statewide task force where it's a combination of DPS detectives as well as municipal, county, and federal partners. We really benefit from this is the information sharing, the intelligence sharing amongst agencies, having different units basically form together, cohese into one unit. In northern Arizona, we currently have 8 different participating agencies. All of them are municipal agencies. Some of the agencies that are in the closest proximity to Gila County, we do not currently have any in Gila County, are Apache Junction Police, Shoalo Police, Pine Top Lakeside, as well as the Camp Verde Marshal's office, all has officers assigned to our task force. What we do in GITM is if a deputy comes over, they will act under a DPS supervisor. In this case, it's a gentleman by the name of Sergeant Scott Skaggs, who actually resides there in the Globe area. And basically, we work together and focused on not just gang members, but also people causing crime or crimes within the communities. The worse the people are, the better we are at going after and getting them. So our really focus is to get people that are causing problems within communities out of those communities and looking at making it a better place for the citizens to make the community a bit safer place to live. Our Gang Enforcement Bureau, basically as a whole, is under our Investigations Division. As you people mostly see our Highway Patrol Division, but DPS has an entire Investigations Division. Our Gang Enforcement Bureau is under that branch of DPS, and that's where Gittham falls. And we basically have 3 separate districts under that branch. We have a north, a central, and then a southern. And obviously the deputy would come over, they'd be under that northern Gittham district, which would be under my command, and then also be on a squad that's based out of the Globe area. We have 3 DPS detectives on the squad. 1 is in Sholo, 2 of them are in Globe, and like I previously stated, the supervisor's in Globe, and we also have a Sholo PD task force member as well as a Pine Top Lakeside task force member. So if this is approved, the Gila County deputy would join that squad. They do spend the majority of their time. Obviously, we also bridge into Navajo County in Gila County, though. They spend, I would say, over 70% of their time working in Navajo County. And being afforded the opportunity to have a member from Gila County would be the first county task force member that we have in the state presently. We used to have some back in the 90s, but not currently. But the intelligence sharing that we could gain from having a deputy as part of the task force is something that I really think would benefit the Gila County, DPS, as well as the citizens within this county. So I said I'd keep it brief. That's all I have, and I'd just like to open it up in case anybody has any questions.
Thank you. Tim, you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Well, thank you. Thanks again for bringing this up and giving us the opportunity. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Board, and thank you for the time to speak this morning.
Thank you, Zeke. As you heard him say, this is kind of something that's unprecedented. We would be kind of on the ground floor of getting involved in this and kind of making it work. We do believe it's going to be an extreme success, and it's also going to highly benefit the citizens of the county by having this, not only this extra presence in our communities, but also the availability of the resources that can be brought to bear on the problem from obviously a much larger agency than we are. Basically, the agreement is that DPS will provide 75% of the salary. That includes the ERE, everything that we usually would pay out for that deputy's position, so the county would be on the hook for only 25%. DPS is also offering to pay for the vehicle for the officer, the training, 8 hours of overtime per month per state guidelines. The only other thing other than the 25% match for our salary would be the officer's duty weapon and ballistic vest, which of course we already provide to our officers. Like I said, I think it'd be a great benefit to the county. It's going to be something that that hopefully, we look at more and more in the future, partnering up in this way to try and deal with some of our problems that we still continue to have, no matter what COVID and all these other things bring to us. Our community problems have not gone away. So, do you have any further questions or anything you'd like me to address for you today?
Tim, you have any questions?
I have no questions, but I think it's a great deal. The word team, together everybody achieves more, and I think, the more relationships that we can build like this, the better it is for everybody. So I thank you very much for bringing that to us.
Same with me, Sheriff. If it's going to benefit our folks here in Gila County and help out all the way around, it's a good deal. So I'm interested to see how it works. Hopefully it's going to work real well.
Yeah, we believe so. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim, I'd entertain a motion if you got one.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve intergovernmental agreement, DPS contract number 2020-084.
And I will second that. All in favor, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. On to D, information, discussion, action to approve an intergovernmental agreement, IGA, between the Phoenix Police Department and the Gila County Sheriff's Office, GCSO, whereby the GCSO, acting as an affiliate agency, will assist the Arizona Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force for a period of 3 years after the IGA becomes effective. And Sheriff, we have you instead of Travis?
You do. You'd probably rather have Travis as well.
Oh, you're doing good.
Unfortunately, I appreciate that. Both of these folks are on different assignments today, so again, you get me. This next item it's not quite the same setup as the one we just discussed. The Phoenix Police Department gets money from the federal government to perform investigations that deal with children on the internet. As we all know, and probably saw some of the stories about how exploited children are on the internet, because if they're not watched, of course, very, very carefully, there's a lot of predators that are out there and that want to take advantage of our kids that are very, very prolific when it comes to social media and things like that. These investigations, of course, know no boundaries. They don't know any county, state, even national boundaries because of the proliferation of the internet, of course. So it takes a lot of resources, a lot of expensive resources and international resources to deal with these issues, obviously. We have recently gotten the opportunity through this agreement to become a partner with them in this effort to try and combat these types of things that happen out on the internet. I can tell you that it really brings so much more resources than we would ever be able to come up with for our size here in the county to bear on this issue, because this really ties us in not only to the state as a whole, but the national efforts as well to combat these. This is something that's very in depth, very legally challenging when you have these types of investigations because of the way that they're spread out. Like I said, this particular one does not ask for a position. This one just simply allows us to apply for reimbursement when we send our officers to training or for other approved expenses under the agreement. But it gets us involved and it gets us kind of playing in the same field as these folks that do this kind of work every single day and have the resources for it. So with that, I'll entertain any questions you might have.
Thank you, Sheriff. Tim?
I have no questions, but again, like I say, anytime we can partner with anybody to make it better for everybody, I think it's a good deal.
I do too, Sheriff, and this is, like you said, obviously an issue that's been going on far too long, and if there's any way we can participate in helping put that problem away, then that's really good. So thank you for diving into this one as well.
Thank you.
Tim, you got a motion?
I have a motion, Mr. Chair. I move to approve intergovernmental agreement between the Phoenix Police Department and the Gila County Sheriff's Office.
I'll second the motion. All in favor, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Sheriff. Moving on to E. Information, discussion, action to review all bids submitted regarding informal bid request number 101-40291 BR-Gila County Road striping. Award the lowest, most responsible and qualified bidder and authorize the chairman's signature on the award contract in a not to exceed the amount of $85,945.41 for the period December 15th, 2020 to December 14th, 2021. Steve, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey. We put a RFP out to solicit bids to stripe our roads. In the past, we had contractors come in and do chip seals, and part of a turnkey, we would have striping included. Now that we've started to chip seal our own roads, we need to have a striping contractor on board to come in and stripe after we're complete. We received 4 bids, and after reviewing the bids, staff has makes a recommendation to go with traffic safety.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Tim, you have any questions?
Yeah, Steve, this was a bid for like so many miles of road or whatever, because we know what they're going to do, or?
Chairman Klein, Supervisor Humphrey, that's correct. In the bid documents, we identified the roads, the length of the roads, and whether that was yellow, double yellow, single yellow, white lines, the width, and then they bid per linear foot.
Okay, good.
I don't have any questions, Steve, so
Okay.
Tim, you got a motion?
I got a motion. Mr. Chair, I move to award contract number 101402991BR to Traffic Safety Incorporated for a not to exceed amount of $85,945.41.
And I'll second the motion. All in favor, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Now moving on to F, information, discussion, action to authorize the advertisement of invitation for bids number 112920 to replacement of 6 Sheriff's Office patrol vehicles. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey. The General Services Department has come up with a vehicle replacement plan to identify high mileage, high maintenance vehicles that are costing. We've identified 6 in the Sheriff's Office. Money has been budgeted, general fund money, to replace 6 vehicles this fiscal year. And before you were asking to go out to advertise the bid to replace those vehicles.
Thanks, Steve. Tim, any questions?
I have no questions.
And neither
Chair.
do I, so.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the advertisement for invitation for bid number 112920.
And I'll second that. All in favor, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. On to G, information, discussion, action to authorize advertisement of invitation for bids number 113020, replacement of 1 Sheriff's Office CJEF Criminal Justice Enhancement Fund vehicle. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey. This vehicle is the same as the previous 6. It's just a different funding source. So it's a standalone request just because of the funding is coming from a special fund available to the sheriff.
Okay. Tim?
I have no questions, Mr. Chair, and I will give you a motion if you're ready.
I am ready.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the advertisement for invitation for bid number 113020.
I'll second that. All in favor, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
On to H, information, discussion, action to approve purchase order number 2021-00000340 in the amount of $50,000, whereby the Community Services Department Community Action Program, acting as a pass-through agency, will disperse the remaining $210,000 received from Arizona Department of Economic Security Special Funds to Gila County, Inc., which will be used for the Gila House Affordable Housing Project. Melissa, do we have you on phone?
Yes, I'm right here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Good morning. Go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Klein and Supervisor Humphrey. I'm asking today for you to approve the last PO for the $50,000 for the special grant fund for the Gila House Affordable Housing Project.
Thank you, Melissa. Tim, you have any questions?
Yeah, just one question, Melissa. Is this for a single project or for multiple projects?
No, this is the same project, and I apologize to the board. I should have had the PO, the last PO encompass all of this, but because the last amount was $50,000, I needed to bring it before the board again and finish this off.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, I do believe so. It is for that
Okay.
one project that you've been working on?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I have no questions, Melissa. Thank you. And with that, Tim, you got a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve purchase order number 0000340 in the amount of $50,000.
I'll second that. All in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn as the Gila County Board of Supervisors and convene as the Gila County Library Board of Directors to address item 4I.
Thank you, Tim. I'll second that. All in favor do so say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And so this is information, discussion, action to authorize joining the consortium of partners procuring electronic resources, copper, and authorize the chairman's signature on the copper membership agreement. Jackie, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Supervisor Humphrey. For about the last 12 years, libraries have collectively provided electronic online resources to all of the residents in Arizona. Initially, we did that by having, I believe, Maricopa County Library District was the lead agency, and then State Library contributed some of their federal grant funds, and each county contributed a share, population-based. Maybe 8 years ago, Maricopa County declined to be the lead agency, and so for about the past 8 years, the State Library has been the lead agency in that effort. And this is, and the State Library believes that they need to no longer be that lead organizing agency. We've been working on this about 2 years. The solution was to create like a cooperative purchasing group, a private nonprofit that whose sole purpose is to provide the vehicle to procure electronic resources for education, including libraries, schools, those kind of entities. So with that is why this particular cooperative purchasing group has been created, and it's called COPPER. This authorizes should the board approve this authorizes us to be a member of that. And then as we go forward, provide the most affordable opportunity for the electronic resources that we are currently providing. There are online databases for schools, for higher education, for community members, magazines, newspapers, juried articles, an encyclopedia, a language thing. All of our electronic resources kind of are bundled into this. And it's just an opportunity. It's our best collective effort at finding a way to provide this for all the residents of Arizona as we go forward. And I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Jackie. Tim, you have any questions?
No questions. Again, anytime we can join anything that makes us better, I'm all for it.
And so am I. It sounds like it'll be a good deal all the way around. So, Tim, you got a motion?
Yeah, I move to authorize joining the...
Hang on.
Did you need to move to adjourn to be the Gila County Library District? Did they do that?
We're in for this item.
So they adjourned the supervisors and are the Library District Board of Directors now. They did that.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for keeping us on our toes. Go ahead, Tim.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move to authorize joining the consortium of partners procuring electronic resources, copper, and authorize the membership agreement.
Thank you, Tim. I'll second that. All in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
And do I have a motion to go back to Board of Supervisors?
I move to adjourn as the Gila County Library Board of Directors and reconvene as the Gila County Board of Supervisors. Change hats.
And I'll second that. All in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're back to Board of Supervisors, and we'll move on to number 5, consent agenda action items. Tim, do you have anything you want to address or pull out?
No, just for another property that is going to be purchased, which I just want to bring that up because it's nice that it happens.
Yes, and so...
And thank you, Marion, very much for working on these. And Missy, very much. Thank you.
Let's keep this guy going. He's doing good.
Yeah.
So, all right. So do you have a motion to accept all these?
I move to approve consent agenda items 5A through 5E.
And I will second that. All in favor, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. On to 6, call to the public. Cheryl, do you have any call to the public up there?
No, we don't.
And we don't hear that I see either. So, okay, and we'll go on to 7. Tim, do you have any updates you care to share with us?
No, just got some team meetings going that I really appreciate the team for District 2 that we're able to keep projects on a simmer and keep moving forward with them. Yesterday held a Roosevelt community meeting. It's great to be back in front of the public again. We had like 30 people there, so I really appreciate the meetings. Attended Miami Small Town Christmas. They did a very nice job of putting that together for people to drive by in their cars and stop at different stops, and they were given gifts age appropriate to the children in the cars, and it went off pretty well. They put a lot of time, energy, and effort into it, and it was great to see something happening for the children around Christmas in our community. So that was a great deal. And have a Claypool meeting tonight and a Gila meeting on Saturday. So, like I say, it's good to get in front of the public again. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Tim. James?
Mr. Chairman, I was in my office working later last Friday night and saw coming down the highway a virtual armada of side-by-sides with all lighted up. I hadn't seen that before, and it was a wonderful celebration of the season to see that out my office window, those side-by-sides coming down the highway. So I want to wish everyone, Gila County employees, board, and families, those that live in Gila County, the best of the season, and hope that we can all be safe, take care of ourselves. That COVID is very prevalent, and all of us need to watch out and take care of ourselves. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, James. And so I don't have any updates, but I do want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and hopefully a real wonderful holidays coming up. I know people will be scattered about, so be careful, be safe, and we'll be back in January after this meeting.
We'll be back next year, yes.
Yeah, we'll be back next year.
Yeah.
So with that, we'll move on to number 8, work session items. 8A, information discussion regarding issues and legislative activity that will affect Gila County and the benefits of having a dedicated lobbyist. And we have James Minlove and James, no, we have Mary.
You got me.
Well, that's just fine. Thank you, Mary.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey. I'm really here just to introduce James Canlon from the Claris Companies. And I just wanted to kind of give you a little background. We had 2 lobbyists that volunteered to help me evaluate proposals because we went out for proposals for a state lobbyist. And I actually I talked with Mark Barnes on the phone, and I met with James Canlon in person. And we started going over the proposals, and as we did that, we were talking, about the benefits of having somebody at the state legislature lobbying on Gila County's behalf. And I said, that in talking with our county manager, it sounded like it was a good opportunity to have a work session with you as the board to see what's coming down the pike that we really should be paying attention to. So James Canlon couldn't be here with us today, but he is on the telephone, so I'd like to turn it over to James.
Thank you, Mary. James, are you with us on the phone?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can. Welcome.
Thank you. And I sincerely apologize. Your comments and James Menlove's comments about COVID is real. It caught me yesterday. I would be there in person, and it's a very real thing. So I apologize for not being there in person, but happy to visit with you by phone today. I'm watching you also live stream, so I get to see your faces. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any any questions for me. Before I start, I just, like most of the folks that I've listened to this morning, want to share my love and condolences for Tommy Martin. I've known her since 2003. What a wonderful lady. Done so much for not only Gila County but our state, and so we certainly in our home keep her and Ron in our thoughts and prayers. So with that, James and Mary asked me to just quickly today visit with you about importance of lobbying services. We do, you all have access to the County Supervisors Association. Is a really, really fabulous job. Just by way of background, so I do have a contract with the County Supervisors Association to help with legislative affairs for CSA. I also work with the Eastern Counties, as you probably know and remember, and have had that long-standing relationship with Tommy there and the other Eastern counties. It's interesting as we watch these legislative cycle come and go, the different issues that come up, and CSA has a myriad of different opportunities that they take every year that we fight for the legislative budget and other legislative things. But there are also things that are important to individual counties that a lot of the counties find important to hire lobbying services to get those accomplished across the line. And I can't underestimate some of the things that are coming up that are going to be critical and important, especially to our smaller rural counties as we look towards the future. One of the great things about having lobbying services is not only the ability to connect with the legislature for individual county items, but also be able to speak with different departments at the state on issues that may be critical to your needs. State land, state forestry, Department of Water Resources are all examples of those where individual lobbying services can create opportunities for counties to get their voices heard and their presence known. We've had some issues in the past that have been very important to Gila County, such as water, and one of those notably is actually the Tonto Bridge that went through the cycle last year. That was very, very important to the Gila County and its region. So that's one area and issue that's critical as Gila County moves things through the legislative cycle. Another issue that's ongoing, that is constantly on everybody's radar, especially the rural counties, is water. And the water issue is important to watch very closely, because what's important to the folks in Mojave County is definitely not important to the folks in Cochise County. And we have two individuals in the state legislature, Representative Cobb, who represents Mojave County, and Representative Griffin, who's the southeastern part of the state in Cochise. They have diverging issues and diverging ideas that both want to see get across the finish line. And then you add into that the Speaker of the House, Mr. Bowers, has his own ideas as well. So they're kind of all loggerheads right now trying to figure this thing out. And it's not only impacting water throughout our state, but it's also impacting our ranchers and the grazing lands and meters and wells, and it's having a very, very real impact. And it's going to be in its third year of discussions this year, and so it's critical to watch these things and make sure that individual county needs are met. And the counties that do employ lobbyists work very closely with Craig and CSA to help get these things across the finish line and work on those diligently. Another issue that's coming up this year, which I believe is going to be a critical issue for our eastern counties, is the broadband issue. And I know Tommy, Supervisor Martin, had talked at length about this and why it's important to eastern Arizona. So the governor is making it a priority to look at this and look at the costs involved with bringing broadband to our rural settings so that people can have access to the critical services that they need. For example, we're dealing with an issue up in Apache County right now where some veterans can't even get online to receive health care services because the lack of available broadband there. So I know it's important and it's critical, and will be a topic of discussion that will be important to not only CSA but to other counties that need these services to take place. So each week we meet as the counties with all the lobbyists who are employed by the different counties, and we bring together and talk. We come together and we talk about the issues that are facing each county, such as COVID and issues like broadband and water, and it's a great way for us to work closely with CSA to help them understand, what's important in the regions around and the counties, and how do we get some of these issues to the finish line, and who are the different stakeholders involved, and what can be accomplished as we divide and conquer. I also independently work for Navajo County as well, and have known James and Mary to that role in my lobbying efforts there, and it's been critical for me to be able to take a lot of these issues back to CSA and help them understand what might be important as Craig and his staff try to formulate plans on moving things forward. So there are a lot of things that are coming up. We've still got a few budgetary things, as we all know, that we need to get from the state, especially ACJC, and those lobbyists that have been involved from individual counties have worked collectively and very intimately with Craig with regards to helping push along those CSA agendas and ideas and different budget things like budgetary things that are critical to not only the individual counties but to CSA as well. I think I've touched on everything on my end. I'm happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman. If you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to ask.
You bet, right? We're going to have some questions, James. So first off, I want to thank you for being with us this morning on this and attending this work session. Tim, questions?
Not right now, thank you.
Okay. So just so we stay on above board and everything, I just make sure, James, you understand too. I'm the critical one for a lobbyist out of the three of us. And so, start with when we're a member of CSA and we work closely with CSA and we all have our own contacts with legislatures ourselves and their cell phone numbers, what would be the benefit in having you?
Well, thank you. You won't have me. You already have me in the sense that I represent you with regards to ECO and CSA, and I appreciate that long-standing relationship.
And I think
I'm
mean in you as if you're a lobbyist is what I mean, and as you know. What I'm saying.
Sure. I thank you very much. I appreciate that. The relationship with CSA there is no doubt is very, very critical, and I can't underestimate the importance of having Craig and his team. I've never worked around a more professional group of individuals as I have Craig. I think the difference is if there's certain issues or ideas that don't get ferreted out in the CSA legislative proposal cycle, which there are some. For example, last year with the Tonto Bridge, Craig can offer support. He can and continues to do so, he marches forward with the CSA budget, the CSA legislative issues and budgets, but he's also behind the scenes helping. I think one of the things that's critical there is to have somebody to be able to work through that and not only talk with your local elected leaders like Mr. Cook, Mr. Shope, and even Mr. Blackman and Miss Allen and Miss Barton. But it's also critical that they are able to touch all members of the legislature to get these issues and items moving forward. I know we didn't make it on that one. That was an issue that I was helping with last year with ECO. But it's critical to have that extra support so that issues like that can get through the process and move forward. So that I mean, there's again, go back to broadband, go back to water. I think when we talk about issues like water, it's important to our state. We know it's very, very critical, especially in our rural counties where we've got to protect the farming efforts, the grazing, the watersheds, the forestry, these very issues that ECO is fighting for right now. And it's critical to have that extra set of eyes and ears, if you will, at the legislature to make sure that those things are moving forward. And working closely with Craig, I think one of the things that has proven very effective in I believe in Craig's mind and in others is the working relationship that the different lobbyists have with CSA to help push things across the line. And so I hopefully I answered your question, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, kinda. Tim, you got anything you want to ask? I mean, did that?
No, I would like to hear James's input.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, I am. I may not be answering your question, Supervisor Humphrey, but I'm going to be neutral on this. That it's going to be a point where the two of you will make a decision, and I'll answer specific questions, but I'm not going to support or not support in other directions. I felt it was something that we needed to go out for a proposal. There's been several proposals that have been received, and then to have this discussion as a board as to whether those services are worthwhile to Gila County. And so I'm sorry, but I'm going to remain neutral and not be for or against.
We voted on this, and I voted against it. I was outvoted, but I respect that vote, and I respect the fact that Tim and Tommy both seen a need in this and something we needed to explore and look at. I see that. I guess, and maybe Jackie, Homero, you, James, or whoever. I just, I'm thinking back in the last 4 years since I've been here. And from a state standpoint, where did we lose out, I guess, on anything? Did we miss something that maybe wouldn't have been missed had we had a lobbyist? Possibly, I guess. When you look at water issues like James was talking about, those have been going on since the 80s. They're not going to quit. It's not going to go away. It's always going to be a battle. When there's issues that come up, guess who's the first to call us on the ground? It's our state legislatures. I get a call from Dave Cook, or I get a call from Sylvia Allen. I get a call from somebody else. Hey, we need your support on this, that, and there. So in a way, I wonder how much we've actually missed by not having a lobbyist. I'm not familiar enough with lobbying efforts to know how much they go beat on doors for other legislatures. Craig and his staff and everybody down there are awesome. They are good. The one thing that I have seen in the past 4 years with CSA is they don't want to go opposing any counties. That's the one thing that I see with CSA, because we're all a member of CSA. So if there's an issue come up where the rural counties are maybe arguing with the larger counties, and maybe it's a water issue, maybe it's something else, CSA kind of remains in the middle there. They take that middle ground, and I understand that. I understand why. To where, on situations or maybe circumstances, I would see where there'd be a lobbyist involved there on our behalf to push that where CSA really can't, I guess. Going forward, yeah, we have some big things coming up. COVID isn't gone. We have a lot of issues there. We have a lot of things there to look out for. We still have assessments with mines we're going to be working on. I'm going to be working on. We have water issues, like James said, isn't going to go away, especially in drought times. So there's a lot of things ahead of us. But my biggest question was to anybody is, what have we missed behind us that a lobbyist wouldn't have? I don't know. Do you, Jackie?
Thanks, Chairman. So the one thing that I can think of that probably is just outside of your 4 years here, somewhere back there about 5, maybe 6 years ago, was a change to things like the liquor laws that had to do with farm stand wineries as opposed to a liquor license that you could make and sell all on the same property. That created some issue for us. We didn't even know it was happening. We were following a path of, this is what we thought the law said, and this is what we were interpreting, and this is what we were, and it had changed on us. That was not one that is, from my perspective, ever hit anybody's radar screen until after it had already changed how wineries are licensed. So that's one I can think of. That's outside that 4-year period. Over time, back some years ago, when the legislature was in session, probably the county manager spent about 3 days a week down there, making sure that nothing made it through the cracks and building those connections with those others, with those other legislators that aren't just ours, that may need their help with on issues. And I'm thinking about probably 16, 18 years ago, the ability to work through some of the land issues, some of the highway bypass or not bypass issues, those things that maybe are unique to us, that maybe aren't just with the legislature, but also with state agencies. I don't have an opinion one way or the other, but you asked the question, what have we missed? Those are some of the things we've missed.
And I appreciate that, Jackie. I appreciate the history. I also, to me personally, is when I look at things like a particular land issue. Maybe it's a land trade or something like that. Those can be contracted. We can contract a lobbyist for specific issues. Instead of having a full-time lobbyist. And I don't want anybody to get me wrong, because I'm going to respect that vote that was held up, before. I'm just asking these questions. I also know that we have a lobbyist in D.C. right now. I'm not seeing much from that. And so is this another one of those? And as a county, I got to look at the fact, too, we're spending a lot of money. So if we're going to spend more of this kind of money, well, whatever they cost, what's that going to do for the county? What's that going to do for the county as a whole? And that's why I like these work sessions, because we can throw that out there. I can ask Jackie's opinion, or James, or Homer, or whatever, so can Tim. And so it's really a benefit to have these sessions and get this out on the table, because when we make the final decision, we need to know what we're getting into. James, you had something?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you asked for specific, because what are we missing out? I know that I spoke to the Apache County manager, and they have a lobbyist that they say it's worth every penny they spend, because this lobbyist brings money to the county and in grants from the state. So in that way, what specific grants are we missing? I don't know. But that there is an opportunity to bring money to the state. The second point is that in my office, have a piece of paper hanging on the wall of 6 items that we had considered for taking to our legislators to this current session coming up. Spent quite a bit of time, a long time, with Craig Sullivan, and ended up dropping all of them because it was something that I think impacts Gila County, but with Craig, it was not something that the rest through the process that CSA does, that CSA would be able to get through the process and get it as one of their topics, one of their agenda items to take to the legislature.
Mm-hmm.
So I would continue to work with Craig and try to refine these so that perhaps next year we can have them in a little bit different place. I will say that with broadband, that was one of the things on our list, and that's been discussed. That the reason that Craig and I decided not to push that this year is because we need to lay a foundation for that. Because if we tried to go and say we want to do this or this for broadband, and we haven't laid the groundwork with the cable companies and Sparklights of the world, that it probably would do more damage up front. So there's a real sensitive process to it all. But you're right that working with CSA to do that, and could lobbyists help us with these things? I would think potentially yes. Is it worth it? That's the big question.
Yeah. Yes, it is, James. Tim?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle. The thing of it is like we say, we have things that we feel are important to Gila County that we bring to Craig to bring in front of legislation. And okay, so it was a good idea, wasn't a good idea, whatever goes. But the thing of it is if we had lobbyists working on it and we didn't have the support of CSA, I don't think it would hold much wind in the sail if we didn't have the support of CSA going in front of the legislature with any item anyway. So I think, going forward, we need the support of Craig. We have the support of Craig on a lot of issues. I just think if we had something on our own that was not supported by CSA, I just don't think we could have 5 lobbyists, and I don't think it would go anywhere because we don't have the support of CSA. And as far as, lobbyists, I haven't dealt with them much one-on-one. And I don't know. Like Supervisor Klein says, what have we missed by not having a lobbyist, and what have we gained by having a lobbyist? I think we have, maybe get a little information more around Washington and stuff, but and the state, I guess as far as lobbyists, I heard the word we, so I don't think it's an individual lobbyist. I think if there's multiple lobbyists working towards one thing and everybody talking to different people about it, then it gets the word around pretty good. But I would, and the fact that their lobbyist brings money to their county, perhaps through grants. We have a grant writer, so in that perspective, I would like to hear on how they would work with our grant writer to help Gila County in more funding, because we've had a lot of fires. How could a lobbyist help us with our grant writer reach for more funding for some of our flood issues, some of our fire issues, some of our other issues that we're having? And so if there's any input on that, I'd like to hear it.
I don't have any input on that, Tim. I don't have any idea. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim. Don't you feel comfortable picking up the phone and talking to your legislatures? I mean, or do you get calls coming from your legislatures occasionally?
I do.
And so you know, and especially when you look at the fire situations we've had, I mean, yeah, we talk to them quite often. Of course, and some of that's from the federal level. That's different, where a state lobbyist isn't going to buy us much. But anyway, these are the questions I had, and I always want to look back on my 4 years. I appreciate Jackie's history on the years prior to that and things that have come up, and there's not saying that something won't come up in the future that we may or may not catch it with or without a lobbyist. So having Navajo County to, you know, pick their brain and ask them questions on how theirs is working with them is a good thing. That's information that I, for one, find pretty valuable. Homer, do you have anything you want to put in on this?
Yes, I do. Chair and Supervisor Humphrey, I hear that the question of what have we missed in the past with the lobbyist, with not having a lobbyist. I would like to pose the question is what are we going to miss in the future because we don't have a lobbyist? And I'll give you the example of broadband. Broadband's a complicated subject, okay? I would challenge anybody here to get up and tell me what broadband is and how we can get it, okay? Because I have a difficult time. We're still in the strategic planning of broadband, and when we finish, it's still going to be a complicated issue, okay? It's an uphill battle, but it's a battle worth fighting and a battle worth winning, okay, for rural counties in Arizona and across the United States. But we have the problem that we have the incumbent internet service providers that hire lobbyists, and they're in touch with everyone in Phoenix. The other day I got a call from Arizona Commerce Authority. Sparklight had just been there knocking on the door, talking to them. Well, we had just had a meeting with Sparklight. Guess what? Everything I said to Sparklight was repeated to Arizona Commerce Authority from the slant of an incumbent service provider, not from the slant of the rural county. Okay, so now I have to go back and explain to Arizona Commerce Authority our strategic plan's not done. We visited with Sparklight to engage them to see if we could leverage them, just like we want to leverage APS and SRP. We're working. We wanted to hear what they could offer. Broadband's an uphill battle. It's a complicated subject. Rural counties, and Craig Sullivan loves all counties, but in the end, Craig Sullivan may not want to be on the side of just the rural counties. Okay. The other subject that comes to mind is HERF distribution formula, another complicated subject. And this is, I think, where a lobbyist or contractors or consultants come in. They can spend a whole month digesting the HERF formula, and the day will come when they're going to want to change the HERF formula. It's an old accord, decades old. And some people are pushing that it should be more population-based. And I don't know where we end up, rural counties, where they end up at, okay, if that were to happen. So those are like examples of things that perhaps a lobbyist, a consultant can help us with. And we have consultants that are doing network design from Kimley Horn, actually, doing network design and cost. But these people are not the people that we want to talk to our legislatures, okay? We want them to become informed of what's happening on broadband and then make a sensible appeal to the legislatures. The bill grant, we actually did get some help from our lobbyists on the bill grant. Actually, it was a team effort all around. Everybody contributed. Supervisor Humphrey was very much involved. Our legislatures were involved. Our senators were involved. But there was meetings that we had where the lobbyists pushed us in one direction, encouraged us to do this, and we were doing the same thing. There was leadership from many sources, including our lobbyists in Washington. And I think maybe that were they the reason we got the bill grant? No. Did they help get the bill grant? Yes. And sometimes it's hard to really pinpoint and say the lobbyists got us this. because in the end, it'll be a joint effort. No one single person can, the legislature, the lobbyists may say something, the legislature is going to want to hear from our leadership, the two of you, each and every single time. Anyway, just wanted to share those thoughts with you. I'm not pointing you in a direction. I was just offering some thoughts and some examples, okay? It's your choice.
Thank you for your input.
Thank you, Homer. James, you got anything else you want to add?
Not at this time, I don't think, Chairman.
Tim? Anything else you want to add?
I'm
Or
good.
ask?
I'm still cloudy, but that's okay.
Me too. So, well, I know as we go forward, you know, I for one I'll have more questions, I'm sure, coming up, and I think it's something we just take a little at a time and see where it goes. See, you know, you guys are, you know, we voted to go forward with this and everything. So, James,
I will just say one thing that to get broadband, we've been looking at an improvement district. We have county road improvement districts, and those improvement districts, apparently we are not allowed to, even though cities and municipalities can have utility districts, the counties do not have that authority. And if that's the direction we want to go as a county, that will be an incredibly challenging effort, as Mr. Vela portrayed to us, that it's extremely complicated, so many moving parts and players that pushing from all different directions. So that is one thing that we would want to consider.
no, and I understand that, and I do agree with Homer. Totally agree with Homer. We have issues like broadband that are very in depth and very hard to understand and very hard to get ahead of to see which direction we're going to go, for sure. I mean, that's hands down the deal. I mean, Homer's done a lot of work on that and whatnot. HERF dollars, like Homer said, are very important to us. And of course, being a small county, a rural county to boot, you know, we're kind of, sometimes I think we're at their mercy, I guess I should politely put it. But it's the same thing. We fight and claw for whatever we can get. So if there's no more, James on the phone, I thank you for your input. And if there's nothing else to add to this work session, I'll close it. Thank you all, and hopefully we'll have more.
Chairman.
Moving on to number 9, executive session items. 9A is information discussion to go into executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A and 3 and 4 to seek legal advice regarding the filling of the office of District 1 Supervisor. And so with that, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we adjourn to executive session.
I'll second that. All in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. See you all when we get out. We good, Dave? You good, Tim?
I'm good.
Okay, I'd like to reconvene the meeting back from executive session, and everybody have a good day, and we'll adjourn. 1:10 or so.